I'm Chris Perras, Chief Investment Officer at Oak Harvest Financial Group in Houston, Texas. This is our weekly Stock Talk podcast. For those viewers that have watched in past, no, I'm not in front of my screen here at work. I'm actually in my backyard behind my house. I do a lot of cooking, a lot of grilling, a lot of smoking of meats. It is Texas. Today we're doing brisket, we're doing ribs. It's Easter. I'm giving back to some friends of mine who are coming over later today. We're gonna talk a little bit about the stock markets. This is gonna come out this coming Friday, so it'll be about a week after Easter. And if you go back and look, you'll see that the stock market tends to sell off a little bit in front of 3-day weekends. If something bad were to happen over the weekend, longer term investors like myself, like we run money at Oak Harvest, we tend not to, worry that much about those kind of events. Can't predict them. We're not trying to trade around. We're not trying to get in and out. We're not trying to be in the market for 3 days or 5 days. We're looking at 3, 5, 10-year periods. The shortest time period we kind of really want to hold the stock. Probably 3 to 6 months. If something changes, we're going to change our minds. We're going to sell a stock, even if we bought it days or weeks ago. The fundamentals start to deteriorate very quickly. We're probably going to try to, sell it and reallocate that capital elsewhere. So I'm going to go over and take some meat off the grill. I've got a lot to do. I got some ribs going on, and I've got some brisket that we're doing. We're doing it a little smoke, and then we're going to do a little braising. So it's not the traditional Texas style where you smoke it for 12 to 18 hours. We're going to do a little combination grilling and cooking here today. So what we got here, we have 2 sets of baby back ribs that have been going for about 4 hours now, and we have the point part of a brisket. So I didn't do the whole brisket, I'm just doing the point. This is my pellet grill. I've got 2 ceramic grills over here on the right, and then I got a pig whole hog smoker behind here that I made a couple years ago. Haven't done a whole pig, but before I eventually move out of this house, I've got to do it. It's the Texas thing to do. So I'm going to take these off the grill because we got the next step. We got to wrap these ribs, and then we're going to do a little doctoring up of this brisket point, and we're going to braise it for another 2 to 4 hours with some vegetables. So we're kind of doing a combo between Texas and New York. So let me take these off here so we can get them wrapped. You want them to jiggle a little more than that, so they still got some time to go. They need to get up to around 195, 200 on the baby back ribs. They're pretty lean. And then this brisket, we're gonna wanna get to about 203 before it's done. And it's at the stall right now. It's at 165 and stalled out. So we're gonna go into braising mode on that one. So we got over here. That's what we're gonna do the brisket in. Let me get these ribs wrapped up here really quick, get them back on, and then we'll have some fun with this brisket. I've never done this before with this brisket, but hopefully later today, our guests will love it, and whatever's left over, we'll be showing up to work tomorrow on Monday for Meat Monday. Get some extra sugar here on the ribs, just on top. It's already been seasoned a bunch, but this will give it a little sweetness. And I got some little cracked black pepper sauce. Not a lot, just a little moisture so they kind of steam for the next hour and a half, 2 hours. I'm gonna wrap this up. I use butcher paper, I don't use foil, because you want some of the moisture to stay in, but you don't want all the moisture to stay in. So wrap this one, this back on. There's one. People wonder what I do to relax. This is about it. It's cooking for other people. It's doing some yard work on the weekends. It's about the only time I don't think about the stock market. The mind turns off at about 3:30 on Fridays, turns back on pretty much on noon on Sundays because the stock markets start to open in Asia around 4 o'clock our time here. So, it's one of those things. I worry because I want to do the best job we can do for our clients. And it's definitely a job that, you can think about it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. even during holidays, you know, if you take it seriously. So to unwind, you know, I try to care for other people as much as I can. You know, you do it through their stomach as much as you can through their heart sometimes. So we got these ribs here. Going back on. Now here's the fun one. So this is a brisket point, you know. The flat is actually inside. We're cooking that inside in a braise. My wife's doing that one on Easter here. And I'm just experimenting on this one. So we smoked the point for almost 5 hours. It's starting to get a little jiggly. It's not quite there. Actually, let me take this out. What I did is I cut up a bunch of carrots, onions, potatoes, pretty much everything you'd make with a pot roast. So this is gonna be a kind of a takeoff on a Texas brisket pot roast. Hopefully it'll turn out nice and yummy. Got those all on the bottom, got some pink peppercorns down there. And I'm gonna put the brisket in here. And then I'm gonna get some tomatoes. Can of tomatoes here.
So what does cooking have to do with the stock market?
Well, in cooking, you usually have a pretty precise plan. You know, there's a list of ingredients and you follow that as best you can, and you pretty much can tell the outcome in advance, you know. Stock market, you have a plan, but it's never, you know, precise. So you may think something's gonna happen, and you know, you have to adjust along the way. You know, cooking, it's a little more of a science nowadays. You know, there's not quite as much art to it, at least at my level there's not. You know, the stock market, there's still a fair amount of art to it because there are no hard and fast rules. You can't put something in the oven for 2 hours at 350 in the stock market and know it's gonna be done, because, you know, there's too many other people involved in the stock market, a lot of other stuff going on. This is a can of beef broth right here that I'm putting in to help steam it. Then I've got a bottle of chocolate stout beer that I thought might be a good add to braise this in. So it smells really good. So this is gonna be like a Texas smoked brisket pot roast, if there is such a thing, and hopefully it's gonna turn out pretty good. It sounded good to me when I started coming up with the recipe. This is a little crackback black pepper that we did put on those ribs just to give it a little more flavor. And then I got some dehydrated mushrooms right here that I'm gonna add to that. Just all over the outside. That'll be part of the gravy when it's all done. And that's pretty much it. So put it back on over here. This is gonna take another 2 to 4 hours because I'm only cooking at 250 degrees. So we're doing it low and slow. Ooh. There we go. We're doing it low and slow because the brisket has a lot of interconnected fibers. So it's from the chest of the steer, of the animal. And so what you want to do is you cook it low and slow, all those fibers start to break down, they start to become gelatin, and all that fat and stuff renders inside, and that's where you get all the juice. And if you're actually eating brisket, they have the flat, which is leaner. It's called the first cut up north. Then you have the point, that's called the second cut, which is fattier. If you like fat, juicy brisket, that's what you want to ask for when you go to a butcher. Here in Texas, they just give you the whole thing, and you get to slice it up the way you want to. So this coming week, we've got earnings starting. That's always a very, not anxious time, but a very time of ups and downs. You know, you have your investments, you think the company's gonna report certain things, you think the economy's going certain ways. Companies come out, they report, you know, do they meet your expectations. Maybe they meet your expectations as an investor, but they don't meet everyone else's. So the stock may go down for a couple days, or it may go down for a couple weeks. Each investor has to make the decision for themselves, whether it is still an investment they want to hold on to over whatever time period it is. If you're a day trader, it might be minutes or hours. If you're a longer term investor, it's going to be months, quarters, years. And then there's everyone in between. So everyone's got to make their own choice. Everyone's got a different style. As a retirement planner here in Houston, Texas, we're trying to create portfolios that extend beyond a month or a quarter. We're trying to look at, multi-year periods. We want portfolios. We've got two types of portfolios. We've got a dividend income growth portfolio, and now we also have a blue chip growth portfolio. We used to kind of have a barbell, and now we have two dumbbells that we can use for clients. We're looking at building portfolios. Some people want more dividend income, compounding that way, a little more of a safety net. Other people want higher growth. Our advisors have both tools, and it's up to them to decide by meeting with our clients, what is the best tool to use to meet their goal. Sometimes it's a blue chip growth portfolio, sometimes it's a dividend income portfolio, sometimes it's both, sometimes it's insurance products that cover health insurance, or sometimes it's just meeting with them and talking about Social Security and estate taxes. So we do it all. We're not just an investment manager. We are first and foremost a retirement planner, managing your needs to meet your retirement goals. It can be Social Security, estate taxes, it can be insurance products, it can be public stocks, it can be public real estate, public bonds. Right now, we tend to stay away from a lot of private market activity just due to the illiquidity, but we're focused on bringing whatever tools we can together to create a comprehensive program to meet your retirement goals and objectives for you and your family into and through your retirement years. We're always focused on the future. The future is always uncertain in the stock and bond markets, but we do the best job we can with the tools that we can to provide a plan for you that should hopefully modulate those ups and downs in the markets to provide you a smoother transition into and through your retirement years so you can relax a little more and enjoy your life after you retire.
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
So, I always wondered, what's the difference between investment managers? Like, some of them do well and some of them do terrible. Some of them get like 10%, some of them will get 7%. What's the difference between the different investment managers when, they're handling investments?
So that's a great question, Eric. There was a commercial out, I think it might have been 10 years ago, and it was done from a bank. And it was on TV, and it just annoyed me beyond words. And they said, blank, the right way to invest. And from that point on, I've told people there is no right way to invest. There is not one way to invest that's going to beat every economic cycle, that's going to return 10% or 12% or 15% every year. There is no one way to do it. There's certain people who are value oriented that do really well. The Warren Buffetts of this world, one of the best investors ever, has more of a value bias. There are, growth investors that have big returns over 3 to 5 years, and then their style goes out of favor for years. But if you looked over 20 years, maybe their total return is still beating the market, but there's a lot of volatility. So you need to find an investment manager that meets your ability to withstand the ups and downs in the market. We are a retirement planner first and foremost at Oak Harvest. The advisor works with all the tools out there, whether they're insurance tools or they're public market tools like stocks and bonds, to put together a cohesive plan that hopefully will take you away from just watching the gyrations of the stock market, watching the gyrations of the bond market, because in or near retirement, you may not need that 10 or 12% that historically stocks have given over 10, 20, 30 years, because that 10%, 12% return had massive volatility. As we saw last year, the peak to trough drop in 2022 was over 25%. And when you adjust for inflation, it was almost 35% from peak to trough, from the peak in late December of 2021 to the trough in June or October of 2022. the market went down 25% in just 6 months, 9 months. So there are people who have longer time horizons who will look at that drop as an opportunity to average into the market, to buy more stocks, because those companies can, over time, hopefully compound your money at above average rates and above inflation rates, because they gain market share, because they gain pricing power. But there's other people who are in retirement or near retirement that don't need that return. It might feel good on the way up, but do they need that return? And the answer is most often no. It's something they want, it's not something they need. So at Oak Harvest, we try to balance what your needs are versus what your greeds are. And we plan for your needs first and your greeds second. So there are tons of investment managers out there. There's thousands of them. There's tens of thousands of them. There is no right way to invest for everyone. The right way to invest is for you to sit down with a planner, sit down with your advisor, and lay out what your goals and objectives are. And then you can come up with a comprehensive plan that hopefully, based on the numbers, will meet your needs first and your greed second. There are no guarantees in the stock market. There are no guarantees in the bond markets. There's no guarantees in the financial markets that are publicly traded. So we're trying to caretake your money. We're trying to do it in a fiduciary manner and grow it as best we can to meet your goals and objectives. So from myself, from everyone at Oak Harvest, from Troy, from Jessica, James, Charles, from my family here on Easter Day, wish you a happy holiday. Bless you, bless your family, and have a great weekend.